Howdy YouTube parts, Jack Spade back here with you, High Noon Leatherworks, for another leather adventure. And today we're moving on to completing the knife sheath for the Civil War bladed knife with the deer antler handle. So you saw at the beginning where I went ahead and I had dyed the leather, I stitched the belt loop, and then I went ahead and put the sheen, the protective sheen on. So I did that a little fast forward at the beginning, change it up a little bit, that way you don't have to wait so many episodes to see a finished project. And now we're going to go ahead and do the finished lacing, and we'll see how that goes, and we may move on to the last part of this build. So come on in and let's get started. I've got my sheen, as you saw earlier in the video, put my sheen on. I got my stitching done, and I put the dye on before I started videoing, so it had time to dry. And then I've got my lace here, Latigo lace, and there is, it's 1/8 inch by 4 yards, so there's 4 yards of it, and I don't need all that here, but I'm going to go ahead, since I have to go around, I'm going to go ahead and pull out at least 4 times the length of my lacing holes, or the spine of the knife sheath. And I want some left over hanging out the bottom end, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. So I'm going to go ahead and go about 6 full lengths, and I can always cut some off. I'm going to go ahead and go 7, so I have plenty. And let's cut that off, set that aside. May use some of that later. So I've went ahead and cut a point on the lead end, so as I go to pull my, or put my lace in the holes, I'll go ahead, and that gives me something that I can push through and then grab a hold of. And I'm going to go ahead and pull that through, and then I'm going to leave about 2 inches here, and I'm going to push that back around the end and put that in between my leather here. Well, it's about 1.5 inches, not quite 2 inches. So I loop it around the back side of the leather, pull it through, and then what that'll do is that'll lock it in as I start lacing. So I can go around, loop it around, and I want to keep all my lace nice and straight. I want it flat, so I'll have to watch that as I come so I get my finished side out. So I'm going to go ahead and snug that up, and what that'll do is as I come down, that'll lock that lace in there where I went around and then put it back down the other direction on the spine. So again, I'm going to go around, put my lace through from the back to the front, keeping my finished side of my lace out. So you may have to twist that to get it the finished side out, and I'm just going to keep snugging that up as I come around. Again, from back to front, snug it up because I want this good and tight, and then keep following that same pattern, and you can see what we're starting to get here on the spine with our lacing. So for each one of those that I pull through there, I'm pulling that nice and snug, making sure that I keep this twisted to the point to where my finished side of the lace is nice and square and sticking out. And just keep repeating those steps all the way down, and I'm keeping that nice and snug. And these holes, I'm using 1/8 inch Latigo lace, and I used an 1/8 inch punch for those lacing holes, and that's in an earlier video. So I'll continue pulling that lace through, going down toward the tip of the sheath. And for each one of those, I'm pulling it nice and snug. And I get to my last hole here, and then I'm going to have to make a decision of how I want to end this. Or do I want to go back through and make an X type pattern back up so it actually would be double laced, and then end it back at the end. But I think I'm going to end it down here so I can put a little lanyard on the end of it. So I'm going to pull that through and pull that nice and tight. And then I'm going to have to go back through there, and I may have to take a stylus to get my lace started so I can pull it through the other side. You could put a needle on that if you needed to. I'm just gonna push that lace through there with a stylus. I think I have enough space that I can force that through where I can get a hold of it with my small needle nose. Maybe not. Let me cut a fresh point on that. And let me stretch that hole out a little bit with my stylus before I try to put that lace. There we go. Now it wants to come through there just fine. So I'll go ahead and pull that through, trying to keep that nice and straight because I want my finished lace to be on the outside where I can see it. And then I'm going to tie that right through there, through my last loop, pull that down, and then I'm going to snug that nice and tight. So basically it's putting a finished knot right here at the end, and then I don't want that to slide back through there, so I'll actually tie a knot. And there's all kinds of ways you can do this to finish your end, but you'll see why I'm doing it this way here in just a second. So then there's my finished knot at the end, so that's definitely not going to come out of there. And then I've locked it in up here at the top when I started into the spine, so that's all locked in there. So now I end up with this long piece of lace coming down off of the tail, or the end of my sheath. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a lanyard, a decorative lanyard at the end, and I'm going to make it approximately 3 inches or so finished. So I am going to use some of these glass beads, and they're colored, and like this one is a turquoise color, and in between those turquoise or colored beads I can use some silver to set that off, or I could use some wood. I have different types of wood, and I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to use the shiny silver. I think I'm going to use these decorative wood beads, and I have different shades of wood. You can see that one's like a cream colored, and then I'm going to go with an orange bead, and then a little darker colored wood bead. And I may have to cut a little longer point on my lace for some of these wood beads because the hole's pretty tight. But I got that one on. And then I think what I'll do is I'll alternate those. So I'll go with another turquoise I'll go with the darkest shade of wood that I have. It's almost like a mahogany color bead. Thread that on there, and then I'll go with another orange. I don't want to put too many different colors on it. And then I'll go with a light colored wooden bead again. So I'm just alternating those wooden beads on the color. So you can see I've got the turquoise, the light colored wood bead, orange, medium color wood bead, turquoise again, dark wood bead, orange again, and then the light colored wood. So I'm alternating those. And then I want this to be about 3 to 4 inches. I think is what would make it look pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and we're about 2.5 inches. So we'll go back to another turquoise glass bead and a medium colored wood bead. Now you could do this however you want. You could put the shiny ones on there. I've got black ones. I've got larger wood beads. I've got colored wood beads. I've got square wood beads. You could do anything you wanted to finish this off. And I'll go back with another orange. And then I'm due for another dark wood. Let's check it again. Alright, I'm right at 4 inches, and that's where I wanted to be. So I started with a turquoise bead, and my last glass bead is an orange, and then a wood bead. So I'm going to stop right there, and then I'm going to pull that snug, and I'm going to put a knot in the end of that and work it down to the end of my beads. So I tied that knot off, and that completes my beaded lanyard. Then I can take my shears, and I'm just going to cut it off at a point. So now all that's tied together, that this is tied off, and I guess I could have pulled this all the way through and then tied it off down here and not have to tie this knot, but that's just going to make it stronger up the spine of the sheath. And then I've got the lanyard hanging off of the end. So let me get those beads out of the way, give you a shot of what that looks like with the lanyard on it. And if you wanted to, you could go up and you could put a needle. You could actually put a needle on some of this lace and pull some lace through these holes and put some accent beads here, down through here if you'd like. However you want to do it. So let's fit the knife in there. Oh, it fits perfect. Look at that. Alright, so there's the completion of the Civil War bladed knife, the sheath that we created. There's the lanyard at the end, made out of glass and wood beads. So put it on a 2 to 3 inch belt. We have a nice laced edge, nice snug fit for our blade. So I appreciate you coming by, checking it out. Go back, if you haven't, take a look at the previous 2 videos on this sheath. And please, like I always say, like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.